Hello and welcome to NTA Nationwide. I am Miriam Akbata. President Muhammadu Buhari is in New York ahead of his address to the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that this is the fourth time the president will be addressing the world's largest diplomatic gathering since coming to power.
President Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by his wife Aisha Buhari, arrived JFK International Airport, New York, at about 7:30 Sunday evening local time. On hand to receive him were Nigeria's permanent representatives to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Bandit, Nigeria's ambassador to the United States, Silvanus Nsofu, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Security Advisor, and some other senior government officials. And as the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly formally convenes on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari is scheduled to present Nigeria's national statement in line with the theme for this year, making the United Nations relevant to all people, global leadership, and shared responsibilities for peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies. He is expected to reaffirm the nation's commitment to, among others, international peace and security, sustainable socio-economic development, climate change, rule of law, and human rights. The Nigerian leader will particularly canvass international support for the fight against corruption, the return of illicit assets, counter-terrorism and insurgency, curbing irregular migration, resettling IDPs, as well as recharging the receding Lake Chad.
You don't have a global stage larger than the United Nations. So when a president can address the world through the United Nations platform, he better bring everything that is very important to him and to his country. But the significant thing for the Nigerian president this year is that he will not only be talking about Nigerian issues, he will be talking about ECOWAS issues, because he's chairman of ECOWAS, so everything that affects the sub-region he can bring up at this global forum now. So those issues will continue to be talked about till we have progress made on them. And I think in the past 3 years, this is the fourth outing that the president has been talking about those issues. I believe we are not where we were 4 years ago on those matters.
During the course of his week-long stay in New York, the Nigerian president will, apart from attending several other side events, is also expected to have bilateral meetings with African and world leaders, including Bill Gates, with a view to promoting national, sub-regional, and African interests.
You know, Nigeria has rediscovered herself and has got its place back in the Committee of Nations. There was a time that other countries drew back from Nigeria, but Nigeria is in the warm embrace of almost every part of the world now. So it's a deepening of that relationship. And as our president meets other presidents, you can be sure that everything that is important to Nigeria will be brought up, particularly those three things that are key to him. Fighting insurgency, uniting the nation, securing the nation, and then reviving our economy, and then fighting corruption. So any meeting he holds, those three issues always come up, and they are for the good of Nigeria.
President Buhari will also grant audience to a select group of Nigerian professionals based in the United States. From New York, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, who accompanied her husband, President Muhammadu Buhari, has arrived in New York ahead of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly. State House correspondent Aliu Kabiru reports that Mrs. Buhari will be engaged with the spouses of other world leaders on issues surrounding the need for the enhancement of the lives of women and children.
The wife of the president, who accompanied her husband, President Muhammadu Buhari, for the week-long activities of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly, is expected to be engaged fully in the activities of the spouses of the world leaders at the sideline of the assembly. This includes her meeting with the wives of the African leaders at their 21st summit of the Organization of African First Ladies Against HIV/AIDS, AFLA, focusing attention towards eliminating of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Africa. She is also expected to deliver an address during the high-level stakeholders meeting on the fight against tuberculosis at the Global Ambassador of Stop TB Partnership, among other engagements.
She is also going to present a keynote address in one of the very important sections, which after Mr. President participation in the morning, in the evening she is going to also address the Congress on tuberculosis. She's also expected to be given an award by the Global Women Empowerment Movement here in the United States on her achievements on what she's doing in Nigeria. And she is meeting other First Lady, like the First Lady of Turkey, as well as the First Lady of the Republic of Niger, to discuss issues about the women empowerment, the retention of girls in school, and also to improve the girl education generally in Africa.
Mrs. Buhari is expected to leave New York for Nigeria on the 29th of September. From New York City, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
The move by ECOWAS to sustain the full operational capability of the region stand-by force through rapid deployment has been identified as key towards maintaining peace and security in the region. This is coming from the Commandant National Defense College, Rear Admiral Adeniyi Oshimboyo, at the ECOWAS Command Post Exercise Planning Conference in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports.
The conference aims to coordinate and plan for the command post exercise codenamed Jigui 4 and review of work completed since the initial planning conference. Emphasis will also be on the exercise scenario, control, timeline, technical assessment towards achieving robust deliberations and strategies to sustain the ECOWAS standby force full operational capability.
The National Defense College is pleased to host this important conference, which adds up to the series of activities that seek to test the capability of the ECOWAS standby force in conducting strategic and operational level planning and multi-dimensional peace support operations.
Using our regional expertise, building on our training centers of excellence, the experts who are facilitating the work to us, and our own staff within the Commission.
The ECOWAS Peace Support Operation Division is formed by the planning element at the strategic level with 4 components: military component, police component, civilian component, and mission support component, working together to have multidimensional peace operations in our region.
The conference is part of recommendations of the Maputo 5-year strategic work plan on the African Standby Force. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Now to security matters, a comprehensive geo-information map showing areas of threat to national security is to be generated for the military. Minister of Defense Mansur Dan Ali stated this while planning host to the office of the Surveyor General of the Federation in Abuja. Mie Ugide reports.
Just like ants coming out from a wood, advancing to the enemy's camp to conquer. But in achieving this comes extensively with tactical work and knowing the terrain. This, for the Minister of Defense, is critical in winning the war against insurgency in Nigeria. So, a map, especially indicating such flashpoints in national boundaries, is paramount.
You cannot fight any war without knowing your position and the position of the enemy. So you almost cover every defense, security, corruption, and the economy too. So the 3 cardinal principles rest in your office, and your office is being sidelined.
But in the issue of drones, we are putting some already. The one in Kebbi is working. We are putting another one in Castina, putting other ones in Yobe and Borno states.
Barely a week after this interagency partnership, the Surveyor General is leading a team to the boundary of Nigeria and Niger Republic for the assignment. The boundary, which is located in Daura, Katsina State, compelled the team to alert the community of their mission, and a map showing the ancient city of Daura was presented to the Emirate Council.
This is the first time this technology has come to Nigeria. Our staffs will come to take name by name of every street. Thereafter, we will now produce the final map showing the names.
The mapping exercise is expected to cover all parts of the country. Mie Ogede, NT News.
Now, the presidential direct primary election of All Progressives Congress, earlier scheduled for Tuesday, September 25th, 2018, will now hold on Thursday, September 27th, 2018. A statement signed by the acting National Publicity Secretary of the party, Yekini Nabina, indicates that duly registered party members are to collect their permanent membership cards from their respective wards. Aspirants on the platform of the governing All Progressives Congress for various elective offices in the 2019 elections say the screening exercise by the party has rekindled their hope for a transparent primary elections. They shared their views as the party concludes its screening exercise. Political correspondent Saliu Abdullahi reports.
The screening exercise was held in all the designated centers across the country to allow qualified and credible candidates participate in the forthcoming party primary. The exercise was held at 3 centers in the nation's capital, Abuja, for those aspiring to the positions of governor, senate, and House of Representatives.
I think it's very important. I mean, so we do not have to go through some kind of things we've seen in times past where mistakes were made, deliberately or not deliberately.
And one of the things that we are seeing now is that the people are issue-based. They're now looking to know not just what you say that you can do, but what evidence do you have about what you've done.
A few questions were raised, and I'm convinced that I addressed those questions sufficiently.
That if you are qualified to contest an election and you contest, it's compulsory for you to move to serve the nation in the capacity over which you won an election.
It was indeed an exercise that equally showcased the young ones who are taking advantage of the not too young to run bill signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari to actively participate in the elections.
We feel this is an opportunity for us to present a brand new youth.
Best gifts President Muhammadu Buhari has given to young Nigerians is to initiate that social contract. And for the general election, we've started reaching out to volunteers. A lot of youths have started volunteering.
The primary election of the APC is now scheduled to commence on Thursday, 27th September 2018, with that of the president. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress APC Campaign Council for the 2018 Osun governorship election has described as excessive grandstanding the call by the PDP for NEC to declare its candidate in the polls as the winner. A statement signed by the chairman of Council's Media Committee, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, indicates that local and foreign observers have commended INEC and the security agencies for a well-organized election and decried the PDP's descent into hysteria after INEC announced that the election was inconclusive, noting that rather than resort to threats, the PDP could either go to court or decide not to participate in the supplementary election of September 27th. The council commended the people of Osun State for deepening the nation's democracy in an orderly manner all through the election process last Saturday and urged voters in the areas to be covered by the supplementary election to always ensure a peaceful process on Thursday. And reports just reaching us says a chieftain of People's Democratic Party in Osun State, Fatai Dekola, has been arrested for alleged vote buying. Details will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. The All Progressives Congress has stated that the vote-buying template introduced by the PDP and Brislin deployed in the Osun inconclusive elections is an urgent threat to democracy and current efforts to ensure the sanctity of elections in the country. A statement signed by the party's acting National Publicity Secretary, Yakini Nabina, indicates that the aftermath of Saturday's inconclusive Osun State governorship election has confirmed the People's Democratic Party PDP vow to deploy all means schemes in all ramification and magnitude to rig all coming elections, starting from the Osun State governorship election. The party noted that while the PDP attempts to misinform the public on the rationale for declaring the Osun governorship election inconclusive, they should be reminded that in 2015, the late Abubakar Audu of Kogi State was leading by 240,867 votes to PDP's 199,514 votes, with the margin of 41,353 favored APC, but it was declared inconclusive. At that time, PDP did not protest, but rather prepared and waited for the rerun date. The statement adds that PDP's public rigging method, particularly vote buying and dissemination of diversionary fake news, must be checked, calling on the electorate, civil society organizations, and relevant stakeholders to speak out and resist the PDP's retrogressive plans, which threatens our democracy, reiterating that the people's will and vote is supreme and must be respected and defended. The Nigerian police say it is set for the inconclusive Osun governorship rerun election scheduled for Thursday, the 27th of September in some parts of the state. Force Public Relations Officer Acting DCP Jimoh Moshood said this on Good Morning Nigeria while reviewing the Osun elections, saying that with improved security threat assessment, the police force has continued to up its game and avert unlawful conduct.
100 vehicles. If you take 300 vehicles, for example, you have 4 to 6 police personnel manning those vehicles. So if you take that figure, you are going to have much more huge number. But because you have to deploy adequately to ensure that there's a secure environment for election to hold.
For the election observers, there was tremendous improvement with a large turnout of voters who, in spite of monetary inducement, have resolved to vote their conscience.
In some area, if you look at the margin of win, that those cancellations would have made a difference. As such, they declared it inconclusive. That is.
They commended the peaceful conduct of the electorate during the exercise. Now, members of the Buhari campaign organization have been advised to build support groups in their localities to strengthen the organizations towards the re-election of the president. This is coming from the South-South coordinator of the organization, Felix Okomunu, who was at its inaugural meeting in Benin.
Just as other political groups are mobilizing towards the 2019 general election, the President Buhari campaign organization is not leaving anything to chance, as the organization has formally inaugurated the South-South Coordinators meeting in Benin City. Coordinator of the region, Comrade Felix Okomunu, says the meeting of the group becomes imperative as it will afford the members the opportunity to map out strategies on how to mobilize and reach out for the realization of President Buhari's re-election ambition.
BCO is a recognized body known to all ministers. There is no minister in Nigeria today, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that will say does not know BCO, because BCO is everywhere.
Is to drive the process of ensuring that the President Muhammadu Buhari, is returned to office 2019.
A former working committee headed by Edo State Coordinator Abdul Ganiu Lawani was set up to oversee the day-to-day affairs of the organization and to report to the General Assembly. President Buhari campaign organization was formed in 2014 with a mandate to build support base for President Buhari and to ensure his re-election come 2019. In Benin, Steve Lonai, Waokolo, NTA News.
9 Nigerian role models honored. Jennifer Igwe is standing by in our Lagos studio to bring us details. Hello, Jennifer.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you for joining us in Lagos. Two former directors general of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi and Professor Joy Ogu, and seven other distinguished Nigerians have been honored by the Hallmark of Labour Foundation in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu reports.
Minister of Science and Technology Ogbonnaya presented the plaques to some of the award winners. They include Justices Adolphus Karibu White and Issa Salami. Others are a chartered accountant and industrialist Onikebo Akonde, educationist Professor Shehu Galadanche and Professor Emeritus Ayodeji Banjo. Others who made giant strides in the area of medicine, Professor Allen Oyedino and Professor Uche Amazigo, were also awarded. The minister charged Nigerians to emulate the role models to build a virile nation.
You have done a beautiful work for a great nation, and Nigeria will never forget you.
Some of the award recipients speak.
I've received several honors before, but this one was particularly important to me. And I'm not usually short of words.
It's nice to work hard and being honored. It's not always that good people are honored. This honor I really appreciate.
Hallmarks of Labour has been celebrating Nigerians who distinguished themselves in various fields for over 2 decades.
These are people who have done very, very well indeed, people who have really impacted in science, in international diplomacy, and in jurisdiction.
Over 20 years ago, to do something positive about this nation, to show that we're not a nation of wrongdoers, we're not a nation of foolish people. We actually have many excellent people of enterprise in this nation.
The award ceremony was also in commemoration of the 22nd anniversary of the foundation. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
Nigerians have been urged to resist every attempt to truncate the unity of the country and work to uphold the basic universal values of right to peace. This formed the nucleus of a conference organized by the Justice Department and Peace Center, Maryland, in commemoration of the 2018 International Day of Peace. Chidima Okwono's report is presented from our studio.
Recently, the global community marked the International Peace Day. It provides opportunities for individuals, organizations, and nations to undertake acts of peace and kindness. It also encourages people across the globe to engage in activities that promotes peace. In line with this, the Justice Department and Peace Center held a press conference in Lagos. Director of the center, Reverend Father Raymond Aniliefo, expressed concern over the high rate of insecurity, which she says negates the desires of Nigerians to live peacefully together. He stressed the need for strengthening of existing bonds and institutions that symbolize the indivisibility of the country.
A peaceful world would be impossible if urgent steps were not taken to achieve economic and social development for all peoples everywhere, while ensuring that their rights are protected.
The Justice Department and Peace Center says unity and peace can be further entrenched through a new social and political order hinged on mobilizing the people around common.
Those are the stories from Lagos. Others are. Back to Miriam in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thanks, Jennifer. Well, time to take some messages. News continues shortly. Thanks for staying tuned. In a bid to stem the fight against human trafficking and migrant smuggling, global experts converged on Abuja to forge a common front against the menace. Francis Form reports that participants from about 70 countries are attending the conference. The report.
The gathering is to collaborate on ways to assist the police around the world to synergize to prevent and fight international crime and offer a high-tech infrastructure and operational support to meet the growing challenges posed by criminals and crimes increasing across borders. The 6th Interpol Global Conference on Human Trafficking and Migrant Smuggling is, among other things, aimed towards providing global view on current threats and trends, the financial flows behind the crimes, the crucial role of cross-sector partnerships, how to overcome obstacles, as well as the use of technology and data in investigation. In his message to the conference, President Muhammadu Buhari pointed out that unless nations fight corruption, the people's commonwealth in developing countries like Nigeria will end up in private pockets, exposing youth to poverty and vulnerability to trafficking.
Collaborative efforts of our relevant security agencies have resulted in several interceptions, arrests, and prosecution of traffickers and smugglers, which resulted in 359 convictions over time.
Nigeria remains steadfast in its commitment to address human trafficking and people smuggling, and I would like to commend the progress it has made in contributing to the Interpol Global Early Warning System.
The Nigerian police have been at the forefront in the fight against this menace, and its commitment is demonstrated in collaborative efforts with the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NATIP.
Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, calls for a collaborative effort to fight the ugly trend.
People are becoming more aware, and it means that we're winning the fight against trafficking.
The conference continues on Tuesday.
The Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiatives says it is implementing the Buhari plan in mitigating humanitarian and developmental challenges in the Northeast. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria say though much has been achieved, final resettlement of internally displaced persons in some areas is subject to security clearance. Lydia Sampson has the report.
Before the establishment of the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative 2 years ago, the Northeast was besieged with different organizations rendering various humanitarian assistance without proper coordination. Guest on Good Morning Nigeria said the PCNI has lived up to the expectation in the last few years of its existence.
The Buhari plan is a blueprint, and the document came about from assessments of major partners like the NEMA, like state governments, and the RPBA of the World Bank and UN agencies. These are assessments that they have done of destroyed communities, of vocations and occupations that have been lost, of what it takes to rebuild the Northeast in terms of even monetary and financial terms.
The PCNI is deliberately embedded into all the sector working groups because this gives us a holistic view of what everybody is doing in the Northeast, and also, like I said, allows us to fill in gaps where gaps have been found to exist.
They said some organizations still insist on working on their own with the claim of not wanting to compromise the principle of neutrality. For Dr. Bulama Maligubil, it is high time such principle is reviewed.
Neutrality is where two countries are fighting a war. Then you can be neutral. If it is a civil war, you can be neutral. If it is communal clash between two communities, you can be neutral. But not when the entire community don't know who is attacking them. They have not offended anybody. They have not opposed Boko Haram. They have not even a stick to fight Boko Haram. They don't know where Boko Haram is. They don't know who is the leader of Boko Haram. And they are being killed. Their communities are destroyed, and you say they are equal partners.
The PCNI has provided humanitarian assistance in various sectors such as healthcare, feeding, and resettled thousands of IDPs. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
In line with federal government's quest of improving power supply, Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) has handed over the new 1x60 MVA 132 kVA power transformer at the Okbela substation in Edo State. Governor Godwin Obaseki, while receiving the facility, described the development as the beginning of better things to come. Good luck, and Naini has the details.
The Okbela 1x15 MVA 132/33 kV transmission substation was an old substation with a limited capacity to adequately supply electricity to Okbela and environs. It was as a result of these TCN awarded the contract for the upgrade of the substation in 2012 to improve power supply in the area. Chairman, Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission, Professor James Momo, revealed that communities in Edo North had suffered immensely due to the absence of electricity, thereby resulting to poor industrial development of the zone and the state at large.
Make sure you all begin to learn some new skills so that you can take advantage of the power in the backyard, because we don't want power to just be in one place.
For Governor Godwin Obaseki, who is elated by the development, the plans by his administration to industrialize the state has received a boost and expressed gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for the gesture.
For you coming in to help us spark the electricity industry by increasing the capacity of this substation by over 300%. On behalf of the people of Edo State, I want to say thank you very much.
The Managing Director of TCN, Usman Mohammed, disclosed that the installation of the 60 MVA 132/33 kV in Okbela was consistent with the industrial policy of Edo State government. Some leaders in the area expressed their views on the development.
This is a true reflection of God's word, which reflects truth and justice.
This is not the first time TCN is making its presence felt in Edo North, as record has shown that TCN also successfully installed 40 MVA at Auchi 132/33 kVA substation. From Okbela, I am Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Ondo State Command, has destroyed illicit drugs of about 110 tons. Chairman and Chief Executive of the agency, Mohammed Mustafa, who monitored the exercise in Akure, said diversion of land for cannabis cultivation instead of food and economic crops has resulted to soil degradation and deforestation. Olubukola Aduo reports.
Investigations revealed that hard drugs ranging from cannabis, also known as Indian hemp, cocaine, tramadol, and other psychoactive substances, are increasingly available on the streets in most towns across Nigeria. It is also discovered that the connection between drugs and crimes cannot be overlooked. To curb this menace and save several youths who are on substance abuse, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA Ondo Command, destroyed about 110 tons of cannabis in Akure, the state capital. The agency said the quantum of drugs destroyed calls for concerted efforts from all stakeholders in addressing the menace of drug in the country.
Between January and August, we have destroyed over 351 hectares of cannabis plantation within the state.
The state government also promised not to relent on the support extended to the agency. In Akure, Olubukola Aduo, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide on network servers of NTA. Please stay tuned. Thanks for being there. Now to judicial matters. In Nigeria's journey for an improved democratic culture as the nation approaches the 2019 general elections, the judicial arm of government has promised to ensure its independence and stricter timelines for the determination of cases. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Odege, stated this at the commencement of the 2018-2019 legal year of the Supreme Court. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeowo reports.
The annual calendar of the Nigerian judiciary ends in July of a year, while another year begins in September. The 2018-2019 legal year leads into a general election year, and while the judiciary must continuously run as it has normally done, particular attention is being placed on the evolution of the nation's democracy, which is why the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, at the opening of the new legal year promised that administration of justice will be strengthened.
Continue to play the role of independent, dispassionate arbiter without fear or favor, affection, or ill will.
Minister of Justice, in his message, commended the performance of the nation's courts, but called for a review of the vacation system of the nation's judiciary.
Of the capacity of judicial arm to constantly renew and transform itself through a periodic review of its system and processes. I hope my suggestion will therefore be treated as an input to the internal process.
Other speakers called for a strengthening of the judiciary for the benefit of the nation's polity.
The temple of justice must not be sullied or degraded by and with unproven, often malicious and baseless allegations and innuendos.
Investors, especially foreign investors, first consideration for deciding whether or not to invest is the reliability and efficiency of the judicial system of the country.
All personalities in the nation's judiciary are well aware of the fact that 2018-2019 legal year is bound to be very critical in the nation's quest for its political development. It is in that light that they are all concerned about the contribution of the judiciary for the nation's political and economic development. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Well, let's shift our gaze now, shall we, to foreign news with Uche Ugochukwu.
Maldivian President Abdullah Yameen has conceded defeat in the presidential election, saying he accepted people's mandate. Senior opposition leader Ibrahim Mohammed emerged victorious with 134,616 votes, according to the provincial results announced by the Maldivian Election Commission. Yameen secured 96,132 votes. Official results are due to be announced before September 30. The trade fight between the United States and China intensified on Monday as the two economic superpowers hit each other with their biggest round of tariffs. The Trump administration imposed new 10% tariffs on $200 million of Chinese goods, spanning thousands of products. China retaliated with new taxes of 5 to 10% on $60 billion of U.S. goods. The moves are a significant escalation in the growing conflict between the world's top two economies. And Ebola prevention activities have been suspended in the Democratic Republic of Congo city of Benin after a deadly rebel attack. Treatment centers will, however, stay open, but vaccination and the tracing of people who have been in contact with suspected Ebola patients will be halted. The country's health ministry reports that 100 people have died in the current outbreak in the northeastern parts of the country. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Well, that's our package on NTA Nationwide. Thanks for watching.